What's up, guys? I've got a bunch of questions and DMs about the Algo and how it works. So I thought I would take a few minutes to explain this to you and let you see what's going on with it and just simplify the explanation. It's really hard to talk about this in text over Discord and whatnot. So this should help quite a bit. So let's start out with the chart. There's two structures here we've got in play. Let me show you what they are. And I lost my tool there it is, for drawing. We've got two pieces here. The Keltner channels, here, 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 and here, right? All three of these lines. This guy here is the yellow line, follow my cursor, is the baseline. It's the median for the Keltner channels. And additionally, we've got here on the blue lines, this is the regression channel. The silver here is the midline for that guy. The white line is the price action. And then we've got one more piece of data. I'll use this in white. These lines here, these are a little wispy. They're tiny and thin. This is where the regression channel, the head of it right here, right, the blue lines, this is like a real-time like debug, almost like a debug tracer historical for the regression channel. And that's the deal, right? Those are the two structures that define how all this is going to work. So the regression channel is the base. So that's our guy. So when we hit the white line, when we hit the green line, we are going to, if we're long, right, we're going to close the position and then we'll look for a spot to enter short. If we're flat, we would open a short there. And the red line is the inverse of that. If we're short, we're going to close our position and we're going to then look to go long. And there are many times where we lose that level. As you can see here, the algo would have went short right here at this spot, right? And the price kept going. It did not bounce, which it usually does. And you'll see here how the regression tends to keep that channel, keeps the price action within it. That's kind of what we're looking for on the volatility side. So go short, close, go long, right? And then close this out here, harvesting points. It's all about harvesting profitable points at the end of the day. So going back to the scenario I was about to explain, we've got going short here, right? Going long here, we hit the red line. And the price continued to break down against us. So we're underwater in this contract. So on the first Keltner channel, we would have gone long here again. So now we've got two contracts on, right? And the price continues to work against our direction we're looking after. And then we go three. We're 3 deep. Now the code is set up to only open one contract per line. That can be changed. It's a parameter, but I'm just doing one. So I've had 3 on here, and then price would slowly start to stabilize here and then ultimately recover. So let's go ahead and nuke all those guys. So yeah, that gives you an idea of the structure of the chart, how things work. So keep in mind the regression is what we're looking to do the up and down with, the baseline, and then the Keltners stack on contracts to help like normalize our position out or average it out. And then when we move back the other way, we're in a good position to make a profit. So let's go ahead and take a look at the settings here for the dates. So we've got 11/9 to 11/13 here. This is like a replay. So this isn't like a back test. It is effectively just trading the live market as the algo would have traded it that day. So super helpful to just watch this stuff, and this is where I've made a lot of adjustments with the logic, is watching how it behaves at certain junctures where the lines intersect and get a little dicey. And I made a bunch of changes over the weekend to help clean up the way it handles all these situations. I think the corner cases are going to be really hard to solve for every instance, but it's to a spot now where I think it will do a much better job of handling longs and then getting out when things have gone against it for a long time in a better manner, so the losses will be much more minimized. So let's go ahead and kick this off, and you'll see the chart start to flow. Now keep in mind, this is basically about 6 minutes in the market for every second this flows across. So this is a lot of time. This represents the entire week that we see happening here. So you see how the price is working up here in the regression channel, right? The algo is just kind of getting settled. There's old data, so it's got to clean up, and eventually it'll kick into a position here. You'll hear it fire off and see an entry pop in. So there's our first one. So we are short one right here. So you see the price is working against us, right? Still in an uptrend. We didn't get the bounce the other way. But now we got the Keltner, so it adds another contract. So now we're short two. And then price starts to reverse because everything reverts to the mean all the time. No matter what, we'll always come back to settle here in the middle and become a balanced market. These imbalances will be solved in time, and you just sometimes have to be patient. When you're harvesting ticks, the more volatility we're going to get, the better in a situation we're going to be in to harvest more points and make more money. So we're short two still. We're at 7.5, 9.5, 12.5 points now, and it's just going to take a bit. But soon enough, you'll see the price will start to trend in our favor. And keep an eye up here. We've got our realized P&L. We've got total P&L. This is the unrealized, and you can see how this is going to just play in. It's constantly calculating, right? We're keeping a running total. I'm tracking this in the code, and that's helping to make decisions on where to close out a position at. We're trying to minimize any losses and maximize the profits, of course. So you can see here now we're up $112 for the day. Probably been about 3 hours or 4 hours of trading at this point. We just got to keep working through, and it does a few things because there's sometimes it's closing a position. You'll hear it go order, where it'll sound like it's skipping, but it's closing a position, then opening a position. So just watching it work, and eventually, like I said, see how so this is right now. Let's pause it real quick. This is a very balanced market. The regression channel is in the middle. The regression channel is in the middle of the Keltner channels. I started that correctly. So we see how we're bouncing here between those two things, but you see where the Keltner channel, the regression channel was with the green and the red line here. Follow the cursor. We haven't really hit one of those points, so we went short here, right? And then we never got the full move to completely do it. So we're out here, and now we're long one, right? We finally got there. We got our points, and now we're long one, but we're slightly underwater from where we went long one. So let's kick it back into gear, and we just gotta wait, right? The algo will stack on as the price moves against it to minimize the damage and maximize the returns to pull that back. This isn't swing trading. This is literally just scalping with a robot at the end of the day. So sometimes it'll get a little hairy. They'll fire in pretty fast. But you can see here we're up 162, 170 bucks. Now we're up $216. Now we're at 8:16 a.m. We're 7 hours in. We've made $257. But the beauty of this is all done by a robot, no human interaction, right? And it literally makes money for you while you're sleeping. So this is RTH. We're outside of the futures hours now, and the overnight hours, and it's 9:15 in the morning my time, and we're up $360 for the day. We're still in December. We're into Tuesday now. We were overnight on Monday when we started. And if you look back at the daily chart, you'll see that we had a pretty active week. We had some pretty good balance. We had that was 11.9 was the spike of the vaccine news, and then we sold off all day. We had a bounce back, but then it was a pretty volatile week. So it's a great week to really put the test on, like, hey, how's it look when there's a lot of chop going on in the market? So we'll just kind of watch this for a little bit here, and you see how the Keltner channel, the regression channel, I keep mixing those up. See how it gets wider and then gets narrower? As we get those bigger moves, the channel widens. So you can see now we're just stacking on money here. With the wider channel, because those moves are more violent. There's more volatility. When the price gets constrained or gets into that ranges, those they get really, really tight. You see here, this is a great example. This is a 35.47. This is a 35.30. So this is an 8 point gap. This is about a 4 point gap right here. So Sometimes they get as high as like 12 or 13 points. There's a lot of volatility. So when the price really starts to move, you can bank a lot of points and make a lot of money. We're up to 493, and I've run this before on this time frame, and I've done a bunch of weeks on the simulation stuff or the replay stuff, and this is going to end up about $1,800 for the week. That's pretty good when it's only trading 1 and 2 and sometimes 3 MES contracts. It's pretty good. So we're switching over to a new day here, which is why NinjaTrader is compiling all the new stuff to push all the data through. That's why they get those pauses in there. And we are short 1. See where it's going a little bit against us, but we'll stack on another one here. Nope, never mind. We're gonna tag some profit. It looks like up 7 points, 7.5, 6 points. Oh, it's going back the other way. See how the regression channel starting to tilt with the move down, and then that's gonna redefine the shape of our flow. And we've kind of leveled out, and then we're gonna get a spike down here if I remember right, and then we'll bank, and then we'll go the other way when the oh, never mind, we got the spike up. And then are we going to stack one more on? Watching. Yep, filled. We stacked on 2, and now we're only, see how the average shifted up, right? And then when the price starts to move our direction, because those standard deviations outside of the median, those are getting stretched, right? And when you get to the second and the third level, you're really getting stretched in the market. So she's going to come back the other way. And that's it. In essence, it's a counter trend trading algo looking to harvest a buttload of points throughout the day with no human supervision or intervention whatsoever. There's probably going to be some merit to changing the variables based on the type of day we're having. Just don't have enough experience with it yet to know if we need to shift the regression channel values or the Keltner channel values for the day to help maximize the profits. I'm hoping there'll be just a happy medium when it's all said and done that'll just work effectively with no human contact with it. So we'll have to wait and see how that goes with the testing and the real-time testing, hopefully here in the next few days. So so far pretty good. I mean, we're basically on Wednesday, 11/13, and we are up $537 for the week, and we have done 0 work. And we can just watch this for a while, but it's going to end up in a really, really good spot at the end of the week. And the beautiful thing about this is MES only requires $1,320 right now for margin, so it's really inexpensive to get into doing this on the future side from the MES standpoint. And when you have a big enough account, just multiply this by 10, right? So the margin for ES is $13,260 or something like that. And but your profit is also multiplied by 10. So if you were trading the ES with like 1 and 2 lots, you had the margin to cover the drawdown when you're going to get it, right? You're up $5,000 for the week, and it's Wednesday. And like I said earlier, when this ends up, it'll be up $1,800 on the MES. That's $18,000 on ES, and you've done 0 work. I think that's a pretty beautiful thing. So I'm pretty pumped about this and hoping that it will work out as good as it's working out in testing. You see we've got a pretty good drawdown here. This is one of those ramps, and this is where these algos really struggle compared to the volatility piece. They take some time. You just got to sit through it, right? This is the chop. You see how things have just flattened out, and in a few minutes it'll revert back, and we'll get some imbalance, and things will shift our direction, and then we'll resume making money. So the algo will sit there and wait until it gets back to at least break even before it tries to make it. Yes, every once in a while it throws a little bit of a glitch and it loses like $40, but it's been minimal hit from the loss side so far. So hopefully I'll over time I'll scratch all those things off the list, and it'll just do nothing but make money. Time will tell, and hopefully I'll keep you guys abreast of the progress. So hopefully that helps. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch up with you soon. See ya.